All right, so the first two cards I'm pulling at the very top indicates the mind plane, which gives us an indication as to what everyone's mentality is going into the relationship. And I said the page of wands is going to come up, and there it is. In the body or the physical plane, this helps us to see how everyone's presenting themselves versus, how they're presenting themselves, how they see themselves, and how the other, how each other sees one another. So this is what you guys present to one another. And the last plane, which is the spiritual one, gives us a bit of background as to why everyone's presenting themselves the way they present themselves, as well as think the way they think. Now, this card helps to understand what brought you two together, and this is the challenge that you both face. Woo. No doubt is going to be one of those cards that come up with the changes and the adjustments. And of course, right, when you guys came together, you guys were probably, just finally getting something that finally worked. Something that really, made you feel stable, right? It was something that really, actually was, that actually spanned to a beautiful relationship. But I feel like the thing is with this reading is that there may have been some things that you had tolerated because you didn't want to, communicate what didn't work. You didn't want to communicate what may have been making you feel like you were, you couldn't be yourself, because the Four of Pentacles talks about holding things back, not letting anything go. And it's, of course, when you find something that truly works, you want to hold on to it with white knuckles. But then there's things that happen, there's things that slip, there's attitudes, or there's intentions, there's tactics that come up. And of course, you're going to have to figure out a way to work around those things, which would ultimately have to kind of completely, that would have to reconstruct the foundation. And I think that's the challenge, reconstructing the foundation, starting from scratch, and starting it from where both of you guys can feel like there's an equal balance, rather than one person having their way, because both parties, one party knows that they can do whatever they want without, worrying about any sort of repercussions. But this is the repercussion now, right? Everybody's looking at the repercussions. So the underlying energy showing the Seven of Swords, it ain't lying, okay? Even though the Seven of Swords can be the seat in the seat in sneakiness and avoidance, the Seven of Swords to me is about taking a leap of faith, just taking a risk, and that honestly may be in regards to just being open, being honest, communicating the truth here. So getting started with this, guys, please pick the side that resonates with you guys the most. But I'm going to start with this person here. Okay. Also, guys, when you pick a side, the other side that you did not choose will be your soulmate. But make sure it fits with the soulmate. Don't force it, guys. And soulmates can be anybody: friends, family, co-workers, strangers. They don't have to just be your GF, BF, or your spouse. Okay. But look at this, all right? Going over here with this person, you got the Eight of Cups. So going into this relationship, this person is definitely aware of what they no longer want. Very aware of what they no longer want. They're not satisfied. And one of the things, too, is that they're emotionally drained with the situation. Now, I don't think that this relationship means that this person is looking to break up or anything. I think they're looking at what their heart desires. Like, they're trying to shift the focus now and find what they want out of this relationship, what they feel from this relationship. Because the Eight of Cups does talk about, looking at a situation and not really being happy with it, or you've gone through every option and none of them really appeal to you. And it's not a bad thing. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's mad. It's just that, okay, this isn't working for me. I got to go find a different way. I got to go find a different path, if that makes sense. Now, the other person here sees this Page of Wands as a new opportunity, right? It sees this relationship as a new opportunity, an opportunity to be creative and have more fun, to tap into the youthful energy, the ones that we were seeing earlier with playfulness. I told you the card was going to come up. Somebody's going to be very youthful and trying to enjoy things and trying to take things very, very lightly. Or they desire more passion, a lot more fun, a little bit less seriousness. But it starts from a stable relationship, a stable foundation, which honestly looks like it's about to change. So, but I do feel like this person is seeing the situation from a not a different perspective, but from an opportunity of creating something new, of doing something, fun, and actually putting, time into really, because Page of Wands is not like the Page of Pentacles, so it may not be putting time and effort into it, like in like a Pentacles way, but they're definitely going to be focusing on what they enjoy the most. I think they honestly are just looking at this as how much fun they can have and how much fun you can have with them. If this is, whoever side this is for you guys. Page of Wands to me definitely can indicate that they're also aware of the news as well, aware of some sort of information that's brought to them. That's honestly, or there's some news that will perhaps affect the relationship that they know it, because here this person has justice in the present. So either this person's looking to apologize or they're looking for an apology. At the same time, they could be trying to figure out a balance that accommodates everybody, or at least get some sort of even keel stuff going. Like I said, when you have something that you've been wanting for a long time, some things may slip through the cracks that you may not have originally tolerated because you're in a relationship. But now it's about changing all that stuff with the Tower. So things are going to have to adjust, and I think there's some truth that's going to come out of this. Some things are going to have to be straightened out and cleared up from the truth here. Because, typically with justice, especially in the Rider-Waite, which is what I always use as a reference, is that the justice card has a sword in her hand. So she talks about balancing the scales with the truth, right? With a truth. And that truth is from this person's perspective, right? This is always a perspective choice. But, in regards to what's balanced. So communication is definitely what's going to be needed here in order for things to be balanced out, which is why we have heart-to-heart conversations, right? And this is honestly discuss your feelings with each other. And that's where it all boils down to, coming down to the fact that one person is kind of aware of what they feel, because I think it's maybe because they have been weighing the pros and cons for a while, trying to figure out, what to do and if it's something to actually invest their emotions into, because of the Two of Pentacles being there, right? The water is behind them, so they're not looking at how they feel. They're looking at, the value of what they're dealing with, right? The value of their situation. And if and if their emotions can, not that if their emotions can handle it, but more of like, if they do delve in their emotions, if they do express themselves and share how they feel, is it going to be worth it, And I feel like, too, at the same time, someone's definitely trying to keep the balance of a situation, ignoring their feelings, and now it's coming out. Now this truth is coming out. There's someone's going to be communicating the truth, and they're going to want some sort of balancing, something. They want something to, equalize that. But the other person doesn't know what they feel. The other person is showing the Hanged Man here because, of course, they need a different perspective. They're trying to surrender to their own heart, it looks like. They're trying to surrender to a different perspective. Now, trying to see someone else's perspective when they don't even know how they feel, other than feeling emotionally done with the situation, or emotionally done with how things have been, they got no real reference to go on. So they're stagnant right now, not making any moves, and it's due to the fact that they're still trying to find their heart, trying to figure out what they feel. And it could be because the things have become a lot more clear to them. Things have become a lot more, they've been a lot more aware lately. But stuff started to make more sense, and they started to be able to see the potential for happiness if they go after what they want, right? If they know what they want, they have everything that they need. There's no shadows or anything like that. But I think things became crystal clear, which is why this person is no longer satisfied with this and focusing on what they want, and why they're not doing anything, because they're still trying to figure that out. But at the end of the day, it's, there's going to need to be some sort of progress here, because especially considering that this person's having to see things from a different perspective, right? You got the Tower going on. The challenge is the Tower. Making the changes and changing with things. Realizing what no longer can be. And this person definitely realizes what no longer can be. And I think this is not just in the relationship or from the other person, but it's also on their part too. They have to realize some things that can't, they can't go the way that they've been if they want something different. Right? They have to change their perspective, they have to change their action. And that's why this is like, to me, kind of metamorphosis sort of energy, right? A metamorphosis sort of thing, right? Or like how butterflies, transition from a worm to, a caterpillar to a butterfly. It's one of the same things. In order for this person to stop being, stuck crawling around eating leaves, and if they want to take off and start flying everywhere, they've got to start changing their body up. They got to start changing their routine. They got to reorganize everything. And that's what this person is kind of doing, it looks like. So even this person's going through some change, and this person's going through change. And I feel like, too, this person not just only seeking out an apology or looking to apologize or trying to get things on the straight and narrow, I think they're also taking accountability for their actions, because they're aware that their distraction tactics in the past wasn't doing them any favors. That now that they actually acknowledge their desire to have fun, to do things enjoyable, right, to go on a new adventure. They have a spark of inspiration here. The fact that they allow those emotions in, they're able to be true to themselves and therefore, give of themselves to balance the situation out as well. But it started from them taking responsibility for where they were. Very interesting, family. Very interesting. But there's a lot of changes that are coming in, and it's for the dynamic of the relationship. It's for each person here. Each person's role, each person's part in the relationship. And in order for this to really start to, go into effect and impact the relationship in a positive way in rebuilding it and all that, there's gonna need to be a lot of conversation about what needs to change from both parties, because obviously everybody's got an idea of what they could do better, of what needs to change for each person to feel stable. Because the Four of Pentacles is no longer working. This holding on to what works and what's yours. It's great until it gets old, until you realize that, hey, I deserve a little bit more than this. And I think that's what happened. Everybody realized what they truly deserve. They got a little upgrade in regards to their own value systems, and now, because what we saw earlier with, love yourself first, this is about putting, recognizing what you deserve and what you would, recognizing that what you want in a relationship can be had. It's just going to take time, effort, and diligence, and surrendering to a different perspective, because change does not come without changing of the mind. Okay. So you guys have from your Whispers of Love, miracles and blessings. Everything has its gifts. So even this time now, where it kind of is a little difficult, a little bit hard, I think, because the Tower can be very devastating when it comes to changes, and it can be drastic, right? All this drastic change, all this adjustment, all has a purpose. They all have a reason as to why it's happening. And it's for your highest good. It's for your partner's highest good. It's for everybody's highest good at the end of the day. But you have to, realize that, of course, you may not see these blessings at this moment, but they are happening right as we speak, and you can appreciate them later when things seem to calm down. But for right now, just know that what you're doing right now is creating a space for you to be happy, and for there to be a good balance between you and this person. But it all comes down to communication, understanding where each person is coming from, understanding why everybody wants those things, and coming up with a strategy to execute those things together. But it has to start by recognizing what doesn't work in the foundation.